right, Mickey's big hands past the 12, so we're right on late time again. So we'll finish a couple of minutes early to make up for it. All right, we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we'll start with a pledge allegiance and a moment of prayer. But before we do, if you have a phone, could you check it if it's on silent? It just makes us all feel better when that happens. So we'll go ahead and get started. If you will, join me in a pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father, we come to you again tonight, Lord, thanking you for all your goodness, your bountiful blessings, Lord. You've been so good to us, our county. We thank you for our beautiful weather, our beautiful warm weather. And Lord, we know that you know what's best for us, and I'm so grateful once again that we're not responsible for the weather. Lord, I pray that you'll bless our efforts here tonight. Let our comments and discussion be meaningful, thoughtful, respectful. Lord, thank you for all the folks who came out. We pray that you'll watch over them and all of us as we depart here. Bless our efforts. In your name we do pray. Amen. Okay, our first order of business is to approve two sets of minutes. We'll do these separately to keep it simple. I've got minutes from the April 22nd, 2019 meeting. Commissioner Doster and Strickland, I believe, were, yeah. So I think vote accordingly, and when you're ready, on those minutes. Motion to approve. Second. I have a motion and a second to approve any business involving guest groups and multiple visitors. What we'll start with tonight is we've got the director of our library, Ms. Jennifer Ivey. So you're up first. You get to break the ice.
I have a copy of my report. You want me to pass those down first?
If you would, you can just pass them around, please.
Thanks for putting me on the agenda tonight. I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance because I have to leave right after I give my report to be at the high school band banquet for my son. So double duty tonight. So y'all are about to have my report in front of you for the first quarter of this year, January through March, and the long piece of paper is the summer reading program calendar. So you'll have June and June children's events only, not the adult events. Those will be coming in a separate calendar later. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot right into the adult programming highlights. We had 68 total programs with 736 in attendance. In January, we were a host site for Georgia Artists with Disabilities exhibit, which travels throughout the state of the winners of their art contest. This is sponsored by the Madison County Pilot Club, and they held a reception in January, and we had 70 people at that reception. I think some of y'all were there. And I just heard last week that they would like for us to host this exhibit again. So we'll have Georgia Artists with Disabilities traveling exhibit in the library in September and October of this year. So look for that. We did all of our Vibrant Communities grant programming for fiscal year 19 in the last quarter. For adults, this included a musical concert with Dixieland 5, which is a folk and bluegrass band out of Athens. About 50 people were at that, and then through that grant we also had a printmaking workshop for adults. This was led by Nan Dibski out of Oglethorpe County, and that class was full, and it was a full-day workshop, and people were very happy with that event, and that was paid for by a grant. For partner programs, the Heritage Room Librarian from Athens came and did a genealogy program for adults, and the Madison County Heritage Foundation held their February meeting in the building and talked about Harriet Powers, who was born in Madison County, a slave, and then later became famous for her quilts, some of which are in the Smithsonian. So that was exciting. On the next page, I have a picture of the Dixieland 5, but the focal point is actually Max and Debbie Thornton enjoying the snacks while the band plays in the background. So there was lots to enjoy at that event. The youth programming highlights, we had 104 total programs of over 2,500 kids in attendance. 56, or about half of those are done as outreach at schools, Head Start, daycare centers, churches. That's typical for us. For kids, the Vibrant Communities Grant funded an acting workshop with Toy Mickey Watson. That was 6 classes over 3 weeks, and that was almost at capacity. And the kids and their parents really liked that was offered. In new kids programming, or kids and teens, we now have a chess club. So we've had some adults show up to chess club, so if you want to come play chess, we're not going to be picky about ages as long as you know how to play. So that's happening. Partner programs with kids. The Madison County Health Department and the Madison County Sheriff's Department hold a car seat safety class that's in our meeting room, and that's been a good thing for everybody. I also like to, when I feel it's appropriate, have the animal shelter come with some adoptable pets to highlight what they have there. If I have some animal stories or something that we can do, I try to have the animal shelter there. On the next page is a picture of the printmaking workshop, in which you see the artists bent over their work. There's a lot of other news and a lot of staff training, but I'm going to skip down to grants because we applied for a grant from the American Library Association to host Thinking Money for Kids, which is a financial literacy exhibit for children. If y'all remember when we had Discover Tech a couple of years ago for the science exhibits throughout the library, it's going to look a lot like that. So you won't be able to miss it if you come into the library. We were selected as one of 50 host sites for that. So I'm real excited about it because 50 sites were sold, so it finally died. And we replaced it, and now laminating is $1.50 per foot for the public, which is a slight increase over what we charged. Tonight comes from a part-time circulation assistant, Jill Girardo. She's spent a large part of one of her 4-hour shifts helping a patron who wanted to apply for jobs online. If you're not familiar with how to use a computer, there's a lot of click here to go to the next page. Here's how to download your resume, upload it to the job site, how to get an email address, which you have to apply for jobs online. So she spent a lot of time helping them do the computer-related tasks for that. And she said a couple of weeks later, this patron came in to thank her and that she had gotten the job that she had applied for online. What that story says to me, it points out 2 things I see there. It's that why people come to the library and why they come back. People come because they don't have access to computer, internet, or Wi-Fi, or can't afford it, or they live too far out in the county where it doesn't reach. They come back because of positive interactions with staff. And I cannot even say how proud I am of the staff that we have at our library. Every day I see them doing work that they love to do or they wouldn't be there. And the work that they do directly benefits citizens of Madison County. And I just encourage y'all all to come visit and meet staff besides me. We have a great staff, and any one of us would be happy to give you a tour anytime. Do you have any questions about my report or the summer reading program, grant, anything else?
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you know where Harriet Powers is buried?
Is it in Madison or Old Fort County?
Gospel Pickup Cemetery, 4th Street.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I mean, she moved to Athens later, so, yeah. Thank you.
We're an educational facility here.
We are.
That's nice. Yeah. She commended her, the folks that you work with.
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman behind you, Mr. Mike Moog, said that same thing about you. So, very nice.
All right.
Yeah, we thank the library for all that they do.
Thank you.
Part of these, my grandkids love it.
Well, thank you for supporting us. And Zach, thank you for printing everything up.
All right. Thank you very much, Jennifer. All right, next on our agenda, we got our Senator Frank in here. It's been a while since we had an update, and I'm so glad he's doing it and I'm not. So we appreciate you taking the time. We have a meeting running concurrently right now, so he's wanted in 2 places at least. Please.
Other than the big Walnut sign on the side of the road.
Yes, I've been going there. That's
It is good to see all y'all tonight. Thank you for the job that you do. For me, give you a little bit of update. Said of course, as many of y'all know, the work is progressing with Georgia Renewable Power. Said they're trying to get staged to do their first fire, which is they actually build a fire at the power plant. Said because they're burning wood chips and biomass. Said to heat water, to make steam, to turn a turbine, to make electricity. Said pretty simple when you think about it, because that's how we do most of the power generation. When you think either we're heating out water with coal, we're heating it with, natural gas, or we're heating it with nuclear energy. Said this one just happens to be real natural, kind of fits into Madison County. Said where we're at in Madison County, said I think that Lamar Dalton shared with me that power plant came in the digest this year, back in January, said at $138 million, said which is by far the largest investment made in Madison County. Now, we've got to do a couple things to make sure that they're successful. Make sure they have water. Said and we're pursue economic development activities in Madison County. We're blessed with a lot of good space, good open space. Said they have some really you go to any business and you ask them what their biggest asset is, and it's the people that work there. Said and we got a lot of hard workers in Madison County. That's one of the things that the workforce is by far, said one of the best assets that we have. Start looking at the geography of the county. Said and one of the things that we're blessed with is a 4-lane divided highway, Highway 72. I've been looking for the interstate through the county, and I've not been able to find it in a lot of years. Said maybe if one of y'all point that out to me, that'd be always a nice little asset to add to it. But we've got some features in the county that also help in economic development. CSX has their main line. Said going through a great portion of the county. Said a lot of people overlook it, but the pipelines that come through the county give us a potential for more economic development. Colonial Plantation and Williams Petroleum, said, which is a natural gas facility, said they are assets for us as well. And at some point, you look at it and say, hey, well, maybe there's a lot of energy in Madison County. As I look at opportunities, I think from what I've garnered in my limited time as a senator, said most everybody in Madison County likes the way of life that we have. Said likes the openness, likes the agricultural and forestry activities that we do, and so we want to when we work towards that. And when I talk about what we're going to do tomorrow, said I actually invited some of our folks from our state economic development department, as well as some of our partners in the energy business, to come and meet with me and kind of really give me a chance to pick their brain on their thoughts about Madison County and kind of where we go with that. So when I've got tomorrow some folks coming up out of Atlanta and other parts around the state that some of y'all may have heard about the Rural Economic Development Council and some of the work that's going on there through the Department of Economic Development there. I've got the fellow that heads up the ag and forestry economic development stuff, and that would be when you start looking at industries that might fit in with GRP and things there. That might be something in if you were looking for a sawmill, I know Commissioner Strickland and I were talking a little bit today about a product that's called cross-laminated timber. It's taken off into the building construction industry. It's a little different in that it's kind of like building a house or building an office building out of Lego sets. So they actually, it's not laminated beams. This is actually big wall panels and that kind of stuff. But there's things that you say, well, why would we go after something like that? Well, first off, there's a good bit of timber in our area. Secondly, you look for something that works well with what you have. When we look, okay, a biomass plant is in the wood business. So if you're producing waste wood, that's a good opportunity. One of the things that and I think some of y'all know, because I reached out to you to look and I had somebody looking for property on a solar farm that needed to be close to a transmission line and things there. So there's a lot of things that are going on that we're you got to find what fits with our nature. You got to find what fits in the county and those things. So what I would like to do is I would like to ask y'all at some point, maybe at a work session, to sit down with me to help me, things that y'all can brainstorm on. I know there's a lot more brains on the other side of my mouth than there is on this side. So we have a meeting scheduled for June the 7th. EPD will come out and make a site visit. So I invite any of y'all to come out and get a little bit more familiar with it. It is one of those things that I don't know all the history on you know, how we got to where we are with it, but, you know, my goal is to keep the ball moving forward and try to see what we can do to, do it in a way that doesn't, bankrupt the taxpayers here in the county. So, I invite any of y'all that wanna come by and meet some of our economic development partners tomorrow. If you wanna come by the courthouse, we're gonna start in historic courthouse at 10 o'clock. So they, come by and, say hey, so they, just welcome them to the county. There won't be many folks, it'll be a handful of folks, but the thing there is, you know, your thoughts would be important on what y'all wanna see happen in the county, and my main goal is to learn from them what they think fits in the thing today. Said they, Windstream was doing work right there on the courthouse square, said they, had a gentleman splicing fibers and stuff, and I said, data centers would be right on the top of my list. They're great taxpayers, they're good benefits, and there's a lot of things, but I'm not sure that we're the data of Georgia, so we might have to wait a little bit on it. That might not be the perfect fit. There are things that for me, and I know we got a lot of firemen here tonight, and I mentioned it at the last meeting. I know Commissioner Madison, you weren't able to make it, but I want to make sure that I ask y'all for as much help as you can give to the development of Madison County, because when you do things that are helping the development side, economic development, whether that be commercial, industrial development, said you're doing things that put money back into your tax base and build jobs so that people can live in Madison County, said they don't have to move off somewhere. For me, said these firemen have done a great job of working in all our fire districts to keep our fire districts as low on the ISO list as possible. It's kind of funny that you got an insurance guy, I think he's here to talk about health insurance, from as they say, from Atlanta. Said but one of the things that for me, we can't build a water system on debt. And I think some of y'all know just what that looks like. Said I don't want them on debt. There's a lot of opportunity there, but water's life. And to me, if we can do a better job of expanding and growing our water system, we can start to see more industrial economic development in our county. And so for that, the benefit is for all the people that live in the county, said they're getting better insurance rates, they're getting better things. The firemen, I think they still put water on a lot of fires. Said they put it on most of them. They tell you not to put it on the grease fire, but most everything that catches on fire, said water is usually a pretty good tool. So I want to make sure that I'm working to help propagate that from the IDA side of things. Said and I'll shut up for a minute and answer any questions y'all may have.
Wow, and we got it on film too.
Well, you need a new camera.
I thought, Senator, you're very smooth. I like how he gave you the report and he actually jumped up statements and remarks, just like that. That's good. Yeah, we're already jumping ahead with discussion items further down the list, so I appreciate it. So thank you very much for the time, and please explain to them if I'm a few minutes late tomorrow. I do want to come by.
Yeah, and I hope y'all can. Anybody that has an opportunity, said appreciate the job you do. Great evening. I'm gonna run to it. There's another meeting. Have my contact information and meet you anytime that's convenient for you. My cell number's on that card. Thank you. For me, I'm not sure what the census count today. I think we're a little over 28,000. Said one at a time always works for me. So look forward to it.
Thank you. That's good.
Anything else?
We're good. Thank you very much.
Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Chairman's report. I just wanted to let everybody know that hopefully tomorrow we'll finish up with our departmental budget meetings. We try to meet with every single department. We try to go through everybody's budget line item by line item. And I do that just to try to streamline and maybe filter out a few things before they actually come before the board with their budget request. we spend a lot of time on that, and we'll spend a little bit more. And the real effort, though, is so that it can provide a product to the board for your consideration. We will be meeting June the 14th, which is a Friday, and our intent is to have everything lined up and just go straight through each department's budget, give you a chance. We'll have the folks here to represent those departments that can answer any questions you have. So that's just a few weeks away. We'll be ready for it, though. With that, statements or remarks from citizens on any agenda item. We have items 5 through 11 that we have for consideration. Budget amendments, we're going to try to wrap those or do some housekeeping on 2008 license for Bill's Barbecue. We have a little housekeeping of one of our policies regarding our annual vacation time. As mentioned before, I've got Mr. Matt Goodwell. He's going to present the possibilities, the offerings that he has put together for consideration for the period that starts July 1st. Is that correct? July 1st. So we'll need to vote on that tonight. We've got a road that we're going to consider adopting, South Creek Drive. We do have the signatures, right-of-way signatures on that. That's been a while coming. And then we would like to consider initiating paperwork to adopt Gosnell Plateau Road. So this would be the initial stages of that. And then last but not least, discussing future county SPLOST projects. So among that list, if anybody has anything that they'd like to share, we'll entertain the idea. Please come on forward, man. And if you would, just let us know who you are, and we'll...
Okay, so my name's Whitney Watson, and I'm a resident off Gosnell Road. Unfortunately, there's lots of us that live down that road, but nobody has as big as a mouth as me, so they sent me. So we just want to give you a consideration of why you should adopt our road. We have elderly people that live on our road. Our fear is that, what if our house catches on fire? I mean, is our fire truck going to be able to get down our road? I mean, because once you go down the hill, you may not make it back up the hill. My husband, Donnie Watson, has maintained the road himself since you guys quit scraping it, since I believe someone came in office. I'm not sure. Yeah, you. Not pointing fingers. Sorry, that was rude. My husband has maintained the road, but you know, as you all know, when you maintain a road, Mother Nature doesn't work with you. So when she maintains it, it starts raining, and then we have mouthy young adults that live on the road are like, you should just leave the road alone. He has now said that our road has tore up her car. So now they've made us move our mailboxes all to the top of Powers Road into Jackie Cash's yard. So she's not very happy about people coming, you know, tearing up the side of her yard, and she has flowers planted there. So we just want you to take into consideration of adopting our road. Everyone on our road, we have signed a petition before, and everyone has came in agreement together, because most of us are family, that we do, I mean, whatever we need to do to give the right-of-way, we will do that. So I guess that's all I want to say. And again, I'm Whitney Watson.
All right. Thank you, Whitney. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak on any other agenda item? Anybody? Anybody else? Mr. Fleming, did you want to present anything, or do you want to wait till the end? I know you and I had spoken, if you wanted to make a comment on a SPLOST project, perhaps.
Well, thank you. Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, let me tell the audience who I am. I'm Bill Fleming, and I'm a realtor, and I'm also a resident of the county. Been here 50 years. I'm always peddling property. And Mr. Chairman was kind enough to go with me this morning looking on it. I bought a piece of property, not in my name, but in an investor's name, that he picked up on 174. And I heard you guys talk about SPLOST money, or what kind of money you were talking about, and it was money, and I thought you might buy something from it. This piece of property is 71 acres. It's known as the old Porterfield Farm on 172. And, it has 2,000 feet on the prettiest lake you've ever seen. And it's, this gentleman that bought it and I were looking at, we bought it for foreclosure sale. We, thought about, Mr. Strickland might put $1 million house in front of that lake. I ain't been able to get him to go look at it yet. But, we've got dozers out there running now. We cleaned up chicken houses. We got 2 more we gotta clean up. And we don't have this, the gentleman said, we don't have a dam problem. As far as I know, it's a good dam. But it's about a 50-acre lake, and it's real pretty. And my thinking in terms of the county involvement, I grew up in Clark County and moved out here in '67 and started a business out here. And I got to looking around. The county has done me well raising my children here. We have good education. We have a good security. We have a good sheriff's department. We have a lot of good things. We have a lot of good volunteer firemen. So we do a lot of things. And the county has provided a lot of ball systems. We got all kind of soccer and we got all kind of ball playing systems. But in looking at this piece of property, I haven't noticed the county does much for families. In Clark County, if you want to go look at the bears, you go to Memorial Park. If you want to have a picnic, you go to Memorial Park. If you want to see some exotic animals or water animals, you go to Clark. You go to 440 on 441 Old Commerce Road, and then they have a lake system in Clark County on the Commerce Road. But we don't have that. But this piece of property, just as I continue to grade and look at it and clean, and on the property, as General Mr. Ginn was talking, we have 2 deep wells it's real close to the Madison Park system. We might could tie those deep wells into the water system to have fresh water for the county. Also, if I'm not mistaken, the way they got into that cigarette mill problem was the fact that they bought the dam in order to be able to have water sources they really needed. And this is 50 acres of water right there. It might be tied in with the Madison or whatever. So I'd like to get some of you guys and gals to go with me and let's look at that piece of property and see if we can do something in a family setting. Is that sort of what you and I talked about this morning?
That is what we talked about. Yes, sir, it was.
Yeah.
It was. No.
It's a beautiful piece of property. It's just 1,500 feet up on 172.
Right.
From the Paoli Junction.
Correct. That's correct.
If anybody'd like to look, I've got all kinds of charts and stuff on it. Thank you for letting me talk to you.
All right, sir. No, you're quite welcome.
Now, you're not voting tonight.
No, sir, we're not. As a matter of fact, we won't be. You'll probably ultimately be voting, but
Thank you for letting me know.
thank you very much. All right. Anybody else like to offer anything here? Don't rush all at once. There is a shot here at the end, as much as I hate to admit that, but there's another opportunity to gather your thoughts here. Okay, we're going to take that as a sign to move on. We have 3 items listed under a consent agenda, and typically these represent items that have been placed on this because of they perceived little to no discussion. But I understand that we left a couple of them open for a little bit of explanation, and what I'd like to do is offer you what I had by way of following up on these, and then if you would choose to vote on them as a consent agenda, we'll do that. Is that acceptable? We had mentioned, and I provided, it was a brief discussion of budget amendments for 2018. And I think moving forward, when we do 2019, I will do this differently, and I'll actually give a much more detailed written explanation I have looked at this a lot more than I thought I ever would. And I can tell you that it reads fairly straightforward, but I can appreciate if you look at the items as they're presented, there's a series of events, if you will, that took place in 2018, and we incurred revenue. So that first column, as you read from left to right, the first column of numbers is actually revenue that was received. And the column on the right is a breakdown of how it was expended. And under each little heading, like the first one being miscellaneous grants, the bottom line is the source of the revenue. The EMA grant provided $10,560 to go toward a hazard mitigation plan update. And that's the way every one of these reads. And except that there be something that's written in a way that you might not, that may not be obvious or whatever, I would love to explain as much as I know about it. If there's still questions, we'll pull it off the consent agenda, and we'll do it a different day. But I'll let you look, try to determine what is the potential monetary impact, you know, on an annual budget. Well, first, let me tell you, for the year 2018, we had 8 employees. 8 out of 170, 175 that actually carried 240 hours over into the year. 8. We had an additional 9, though, that were right behind them with at least 235. So you've got 17 people that carried a lot of time over. The way our policy reads is they can do that. They can carry 240 hours over into the new year. The way our policy reads right now, though, it says that if somebody were to leave, retire, separate for whatever reason, and they have in excess of 240 hours, they get paid 240 hours. My contention is those hours were attained, earned legitimately by every rule and every provision that's afforded the employee, and I don't think it was the original intent to not pay them. So, greatest impact, depending on the, we have a breakdown of 8-hour employees, 12-hour employees, and 24-hour employees, 12 being primarily law enforcement and 911, 24 being your EMS. The greatest amount that the county would incur if somebody maxed out their time would be under $3,000 annually. So again, going back to 17 people that carried over, and I don't think we had but one person that actually fell in this category last year. So I wanted to at least highlight the fact that is, I don't think there's a substantial risk for the county on that, but I wanted it to be clear. And the last item on that particular thing is, I did go back and I pulled a list of all our employees in their current accumulated hours. And important is we have people that are carrying a lot of time, and we're approaching the mid-year. So when you are very thin, when you're thinly staffed and you have 1 beat or 2, maybe 3 people in a department, can't afford somebody taking a month off. So in the past, it's my understanding that we have had employees that it was their plan, nothing devious, nothing mean-spirited about it, but they enjoyed having December off. Makes it difficult, and what I've asked the department head supervisors to do is to manage that a little bit better, because while we want to accommodate, we want to be fair with people the time that they accrue. We also have excuse me if I use my military, I go back to it's mission first. We still have a job to do here, so we're going to do that, and we're going to try to accommodate as much as we can, but the onus is on us to manage it a little bit better. So back to the agenda item. What is the pleasure of the board as far as the consent agenda?
I'm okay with what's concerned.
Everybody else.
If you'd like to make that in the form of motion, go ahead and do
Make a
it.
motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which are items 5, 6, and 7. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. Any questions, anything at all that I could help clarify on that? Do this in a much better and simplified way than I was able to last time. So, sir, come on.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. A really good job the other night. Thank you.
I talked to him on the phone and told him that. How he heard. Go ahead, please.
Thank you all so much. I'd like to ask you, if you've got the presentation, if you look at page 2, whenever I talk about insurance, I like to remind you what happened a year ago. And a year ago, we were looking at about a 78% paid loss ratio, and we ended up with a no increase from Cigna. And so those are all these really nice renewals to deliver. This year, our paid claims are running in the high 80s. It's actually closer to 90%. And what's problematic with that is that we don't have any real big claims within the mix. And what I mean by big claim, an insurance company thinks a big claim are claims that exceed $100,000, and we don't have anything like that. In fact, we only had like 2 or 3 that were above $50,000. And so with us running close to a 90% claims to premium, with no big claims out there, we're really, for lack of better words, we're really not running well. Because typically on a group our size, we have 3 or 4 claims that are going to be close to or above $1,000. And if that would have been the case, we would have been looking at paid claims of about 120% of premium. And so while we're fortunate that we haven't anybody really, really sick, our claims are running hot based upon what we have within the plan. So with that being said, if we could go to slide 3. The way these insurance renewals are done, they're actually negotiated back and forth with the plans. I got a call from Cigna in late February. They're telling me they're concerned, and they're telling me that you all need about a 25% rate increase. And she knows that there's no way I was going to let a renewal like that hit the street. So I said, ain't no way. And so she said, well, what if we did 15? I said, we've got to go to market. I said, if it's running that bad, we've got to go to market. So we went ahead and took you guys to market. We had a number of the carriers decline. We had a couple come in above 25%. But it ends up, as we normally get, is where we have both Blue Cross and Cigna both wishing to have Madison County as a client. And so when it was all final said and done, and before I get into these exact numbers, the reality of it is you guys probably should have received an increase of about 15% based upon the demographics on this renewal. But we ended up with Cigna releasing their increase at 10.5%, and we had Blue Cross coming in and releasing an increase request at 8%. So Blue Cross put a lot of pressure on Cigna and vice versa. And so from my standpoint, what I always tell my customers is in order to keep your health insurance sustainable, you really need to budget in that 5 to 7% annually, because if you go much more than that, you just get yourself in over a 5-6 year period, the stuff becomes unaffordable. And so while we had a no rate increase this year, we are looking at a little bit higher average increase than normal, but I still revert back to my old sayings, we got to keep this thing under 10. And so I asked both carriers to give me a rate option a little bit closer, a little bit lower. I did not want a double-digit renewal increase. And so we got an offer from Cigna that got our increase down to 6.5%. And to do that, we have to raise the employee maximum out-of-pocket $1,000 to increase our specialist copay from $50 to $60. And we have our brand and non-formulary brand copays. They're asking to raise those $5 each. And then I honestly think that when you start looking at increasing the specialist copay, making sure that drugs that are available over the counter are purchased over the counter, you'll find out that in drugs, about 20% of all our prescriptions are brand, and they take up 80% of the cost. They're the average brand prescription runs $500 a month. And so asking an employee to raise it from 35 to 40 or 40 to 45, I think those are reasonable moves to make. So with that being said, the Cigna option with the changes on it would get our increase, taking into account the employee contributions would remain virtually unchanged. We'd get the increase down to just about 7%, which I think is where I, again, like to be. The Blue Cross Blue Shield option would require us to change from 2 plan offerings to the employees to 1. That 1 plan offering would require them to have a $200 deductible on all their prescription drugs. Currently, right now, the employees have a choice between a plan with a deductible on the drugs and one without. We have more than half of them that do not have a deductible on the prescription drugs. So with that in mind, we think that Cigna probably has a little bit more employee-friendly offer on the table, and we do think that the offer is in line with what your claims are paying. So it's our recommendation that y'all continue with Cigna and that you do take the renewal option. And I can get more into the details on the subsequent pages, but the dental is renewing with no change. However, the dental is a voluntary product, and HR has asked us, the county has asked us if we could get a little bit higher annual allowable amount. Currently, right now, our dental plan caps all claims at $1,000 worth of coverage. The new offer would allow an employee to have coverage up to $1,500, and that is available through Cigna. It's approximately a 6% increase, and they, again, it's a voluntary product for the employees, and that's what the staff is asking us to recommend also, is to go with a little bit better dental coverage and no change on the vision. So with that being said, we're recommending that you take the Cigna renewal option, increase your dental coverage to $1,500, and then renew the vision as is. And I'll be quiet now and let you ask questions. And that's just what John said a couple weeks ago.
Before you become completely quiet, could you at least share, this may or may not be relevant right now, but it may be relevant in the decision between Blue Cross Blue Shield and Cigna, a potential plan next year that is offered, with the expanding through Cigna. You had mentioned that there would be...
I forgot.
Please.
I forgot.
That was a question I answered.
Yeah, Cigna, they currently, you have your wide open network. Their network's as wide as the Blue Cross. In fact, it actually has a few more doctors in it than what we currently see with Blue Cross, particularly in Athens. But Cigna is also in the process of, they have this set up in the Henry County area. They have it offered in Atlanta. But basically, Cigna has partnered with several of the larger hospital chains, and the one in particular is Piedmont, which has a lot of relevance for us. It's not set up yet in Athens, but starting, I've been told, available January 1, 2020, Cigna is going to have what they call a tight network or a narrow network with Piedmont here in Clark County. And in essence, if indeed you decide to offer that, you can also, on $1.5 million, it's $100,000, $120,000 that you could offer that as an option to the employee.
Would it be the same for pharmaceuticals?
I'm
Are
sorry?
you still wide open on pharmaceuticals or on prescriptions?
Actually, that's kind of a separate decision. We would encourage you to keep the same pharmacy that we're recommending now. But yes, you'd be the same with that type of a change. But Cigna is going to have a narrow network available for us next year. I think it's worthwhile also hanging around to see what that's going to look like.
But that would be an additional option, right?
That is correct.
They would have 2 options as far as employees.
And just to kind of give you an idea of how it might work, if the premium is going to be 8% lower and you're paying, $600 for a single policy, if that's $50 less, you may offer the employee that plan with lower cost. And if you could still offer the wide open network, keep your same contribution. So it just gives you a few more options to look at next year.
we're going to have to do something.
Do what?
I said, we're going to have to do something to keep going up.
Get a money tree in.
Yeah.
Just on the option you're, I guess, suggesting us to go with is the one that's renewal option with, I guess, the out-of-pocket going to $5,500 and $11,000.
That is correct.
I just want to be clear on
Yes,
which
sir.
one you're, that's the one I was looking at.
Anybody have any other questions?
If we went with Blue Cross Blue Shield, could we go right back to Cigna the next year?
Yes.
Do you think they would up the price kind of?
Everybody's gonna look at your claims. I mean, you might say, oh, two things in common. You got a really good offer from Blue Cross. Both Blue and Cigna, they're like a sister and a brother fighting. I mean, the two of them are trying to undercut each other every chance they get, and that's good for us. What I can tell you is the premiums that we have on the table for the Cigna plan, they're very justifiable. You know,
Part of your recommendation was on the dental side from the renewal to pick up the option to the $1,500 maximum. And that's, I think it's not broke out, but that's about $4,600 additional over the course of the year.
It'd be an additional $4,000. That'd be paid for by the employees because it's a voluntary benefit. And it was, again, the county actually telling us we want more coverage for the employees. They're paying for it, and if you look at slide 6, an employee with single coverage will go from $17 to $1,801. If I had family, it goes from $55.39 to $58.71. And so it's a fair, you know, you're getting quite a bit more coverage.
But on slide 6, where it's broke out of that $82,682 is not identified that extra $4,680 is the employee
The
cost.
employees are paying it, yes.
So on the Blue Cross Blue Shield, I know that there was a situation maybe last year with, I guess when Piedmont took over, that there was some question about the doctors and their whole situation with them. So I guess this Blue Cross Blue Shield, it would cover any doctor that the employee chooses, is that correct?
No, you've got to be in the network, the point of service network, and I think there's still a fairly significant specialty group in Athens that is still not contracted with Blue Cross that has some abrasion on a couple of the groups in the area.
I've not heard good things about Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Do what now?
I said I've not heard good things about them lately.
The vote tonight, and me being new to the board, when is it more appropriate for us to start inquiring a little further into the year, or giving us a little bit more time to dive into this? I mean, I realize rates kind of come out when they come out, and you kind of put this package together for us. But what I'm getting at is, as Commissioner Strickland mentioned, you know, things are going up. What can we do? What do we need to be doing, looking at options with employees and whatnot, as far as, you know, different approaches, what can they do? What cost saving options are there? And if somebody chooses a lifestyle that's not, you know, maybe compatible with as healthy as it can be, I mean, I'm speaking about myself as well. What can we do to help off-shoulder a little bit of that cost onto the insuree versus the taxpayer?
But there, I know we have a wellness coordinator who's actually working with the county from Cigna, and there's things that we can do, but I'm also a registered nurse by trade, and let me just say this. The things that people can do to help themselves and help us, because ultimately insurance companies don't pay claims. We pay the claims through premiums, and there's a direct correlation between the claims and the premiums. And in terms of people taking care of themselves, the two easy things that if people did these, we would see claims come way down, is that they have to have proper exercise and they got to eat right. And I mean, it's that simple. And the things you look at is the age. As we start to get past age 40, you've got your blood sugar, your cholesterol, blood pressure. Those are the three things that people don't see go wrong. It's like running a truck with bad oil, and once you start to see the blue smoke, it's too late. And unfortunately, we'll have a lot of folks, they start to age and they don't get those checkups done, and it's like running your truck on bad oil. And so when you get a bad cardiovascular system, then you start getting into all kinds of other issues that become very expensive in our 50s. So I think what we want to do as an employer is we want to encourage a healthy lifestyle. People have got to get their checkups. I know they feel right, they don't feel bad, but they got to get their checkups. They have got to take medicine if they're required to take the medicine. And so a wellness coordinator would tell you that you can incentivize your employees. You either use a club or a carrot, and you know what works best for you all. But the main thing is if you can get the employees just to get their checkups done, national averages, and you guys are probably right in with them, 23% of adult men get checkups. So what's the 80% don't? And the women, it's a little better. It's about 55% of the women do. But the main thing we can do is that you all could have tearing, we'll talk about it next year, to where, you know, you can have a preferred discount for those employees who hit your wellness benefits, and that might mean just seeing your doctor. That might mean just getting a checkup. And if you do those things, and it can be documented, then we'll give you a preferred rate. The famous thing that people like to go after is tobacco use. But again, we can get down and talk about that in minutia. But the main thing is see your doctor, get your checkup, and keep moving. Those are the best things you can do.
Have we done that in the past, had those wellness checkups and things like that?
And Matt was part of it as far as again, it's the carrot stick conversation again, though, is whether or not you can penalize somebody for not doing it. I don't think you can.
Legally, you can raise the premiums and then tell people they get a discount.
Right, they get credit.
The coverage is here. So with that, on this item, and what we'll do is we'll entertain a motion to select an option, or to simplify it, if you want, the motion can be to accept the recommendation to go with a Cigna renewal option as depicted and presented.
And the dental supplement will come out of their pocket, not the county's.
I'm sorry.
The supplement for the dental, that's
Yes.
gonna come out, that'd be.
No change on that.
But yes, it's all 100% on the employees.
I'll make that motion as recommended by.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to go renewing Cigna under the option presented on page 4 and as presented by Matt. Any other comments or discussion on that? Vote is to Commissioner Kirk.
Yes.
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 All right. Thank you very much.
Have a
Matt.
nice evening.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that. Okay. And Ms. McDowell, I didn't ignore you there. I was just trying to get to the discussion from the commissioners. Did you have something real quick?
No, I might have presented it as a, potentially concerned, member of the county. As in, I might be proposing to a county employee. The question that would come to my mind is, in the last 4 or 5 years, the role of video and healthcare is coming together.
Right.
I don't have a copy of the 6 or 7 pages of the PowerPoint presentation. What I didn't hear the presenter touch on is what are the cost savings projected for Cigna by incorporating what is inevitable, if not already in place, to get some of your health care videoized, such as checkups.
Talking about telemedicine? Telemedicine.
Right. And we did actually entertain that as part of our discussion when he met with the county. And these are, you're 100% right, and these are evolving and they're coming to us. So we did not exclude them from consideration. So as their, as a matter of fact, we've had discussions, regarding their use in our, correctional facilities, things like that too. So it goes beyond just what's available to an employee.
Then I'll proceed and make, I'll propose, go ahead.
No, that's fine, and so we're.
Chairman, can I add to that? You mind?
No, go ahead.
Another thing too is, out here in rural Georgia, we're working really hard trying to get actual internet access to a lot of people. 60% of people get their access from the library. And so, once we get that access out to them, that's gonna be a huge thing for us.
That's required by speed.
Yeah,
That's right.
So, but definitely, great idea.
All right. Well, thank you though. All right, Matt, thank you again, sir, for traveling. The next item is, to consider adopting South Creek Drive. The board actually approved. Yeah, we actually, the board actually approved this a while back, and we were able to finally resolve. Mike drafted a document, it was signed, and everything is in place, ready to be recorded, once you formally adopt this. Entertain a motion.
I make a motion to adopt.
Let, Linda Borson and Alan Lipinski know. All right, very good. On the heels of that, we have our next item is to consider initiating paperwork or initiating the actions to adopt Governor Hutto Road. So that's, for those of you who may not be aware, that's on the right off Albert Danielsville Road. And I wanted to respond back then, but I'll go ahead and say it now because it's a little bit more appropriate on this item. As a general policy, typically we don't, and I know it's a little distasteful, maybe a little, I'm sorry, folks, I'm dealing with some allergies here. Maybe a little unsatisfying answer here. But if a road is private, Georgia code is very clear. It's against the law for us to be on it with any county equipment. So I do take the blame a little bit for that. But I try not to go to jail for my own actions. I'm not going to jail for anybody else's actions either. So forgive me on that. But what we will do, though, if the board chooses to go ahead and initiate the actions, we will start the process of adopting that road. So with that, I'll open it up.
I'd like to make the motion that we initiate paperwork for Governor Hutto.
I'll second that, Chairman.
All right, I have a motion and a second, and we'll start the process, and you will see some folks come out and...
They can park in my yard, I don't care.
Yeah.
Where's your address?
Yeah.
213.
Mr. Robertson, he probably let him park there too.
Oh, yeah.
You got plenty of that.
No, we understand the problems, and it's one of...
And it's not really a problem, it's that everyone on the road wants Donnie to fix the road, and he has the equipment to do so because he runs Royston Rental himself. No one wants to help fork out the gas or want to come help him. I mean, he's a dad, believe me. They get it by himself.
Now, we feel your pain. I mean, I would love to do this for every dirt road in the county, but we're gonna get what we can. So we have a motion and a second to initiate those actions. Any other comment, question?
Mr. Chairman, I think, not that I oppose the motion or not, I would, on the education, if there's a policy document that explains the process, I'd love to get a copy of it.
I can do that. The previous board actually established some criteria, I believe is the way it was phrased, and it does talk to volume. It talks to is it a connecting road? Is there a business on it? Are there special needs folks? So there are a number of considerations, and of course cost is one of those as well. So I'll certainly get that to you, and again, all of this is dependent on getting those right-of-way signatures. So, all right, the vote is to Commissioner Allen. Yes.
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 Yes. All right, we'll start it then. Okay. Our last next business item now is to discuss future county SPLOST projects. I requested from our departments, our constitutional officers, any project that they deemed or felt it would be something that would warrant SPLOST funding. And I did not have the I will complete it, but I have not had the opportunity to complete in a tabular or columnar format or whatever, but I did provide the request as it was presented to me, and I made all of those, try to break these down, and I would expect a little more discussion on these. What I would really like to do is, as I know our next meeting is January 3rd, we may have to break tradition, our new tradition with not voting, but
June 3rd.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
January.
Oh, God.
Move a whole year.
Oh, God. Must be the bad. So June the 3rd, but in worst cases, and I really would like to avoid that, we had to call a meeting. Just, we need to get this approved so that we can get an intergovernmental agreement put together in front of our cities for vote too. So, again, this was a discussion item. I wanted to at least get this to you. What I would encourage, if there's anything in these requests that warrants discussion or questions from you to that department, please contact them directly. If you have questions, and you just get it to me, and I'll try to get you the answer. And you're welcome if anybody's got any discussion on any of the material you have in front of you right now.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I noticed that we have this document from the city of Danielsville, or this request about their increase. I know that you had mentioned some discussion on that, and I guess can you sort of...
Right, and I apologize, I should have gone ahead and preface that. That one document was the one that was presented to us for consideration. We did have a request from one of the cities to increase their percentage, if you will. Now, it was made known by the other 5 cities that they wanted to remain, they wanted to keep the percentage. They did not want to lose what they had. They were not willing to discuss that. So the reason I presented that to you is that their only recourse is to get that from the county. And again, it would be a departure from using any type of population, argument, if you will. And rather than try to paraphrase, I just decided to present that document as it was presented to us and let you look at that. It really, and I'll defer to the attorney here to make sure I don't misspeak here, but you have consensus at this point among your municipalities. By definition, I believe you have that. So an intergovernmental agreement would establish a status quo arrangement, if that's what you choose. You can leave it right where it is. And the task at that point then is to determine which projects then we want to pursue outside of the apportionment for the cities. We'll tell you one other thing, is we've looked at a projected amount, which is the other value that's key here. You're going to have to, we have looked and, using, I wish I had some really high technical way of saying this, but I don't. The best information that we have, historical data right now, and any trends, your SPLOST collection is going to be based on businesses. What you have, the reason our numbers did not dramatically, the total collection, is because our tax base did not change. And until that changes, you're not going to collect anymore. It is one collection per month on the rise. with those numbers, not even collecting, and we haven't hit those, we're little over 1 year out yet remaining. The best projection that I can provide is approximately 2.1, 2.2 million per year is a number that I think is very, very reasonable. So I would say somewhere around a $13 million collection level is what you can expect. So that kind of frames what the project list is going to have to fall within. And, so as you're looking at it, trying to figure it out, that's what we have to work with. So we'll formalize that though when we sit down to actually talk specific projects. So I'd ask, and I'm going to get you as soon as I have. I'll give it another day or so. I'll provide you in total everything I have. I'll try to put it in a little bit easier to read document with some a little bit more explanation behind some of the requests and the rationale for it. Fair enough? Okay.
Those are better numbers. We kind of been looking at it.
They're marginally better, but they are better, and it would stand to reason. There's a little bit of a misnomer. You're not going to pick up SPLOST with your things like the power plant. I think that's something that we look at. And we think but that's not going to help us there. So I think that's what everybody was hoping that we'd increase. But that we don't get the.
That's more property tax.
It is. That's your digest. So. Any other comments or anything that anybody would like to offer on that?
I just said one other. You said that you did not get anything from the sheriff's office.
I have not yet received that.
Yeah, whenever you receive that, that'll be included. I'll
push that to you electronically just to get it.
I will say this, and I've thought about it a lot, but with the fire departments, what they split, I would love to see them, us be able to move some money around there for them, try to get them some more money. They work so hard on our ISOs to save our citizens a lot of money. If we can give them a little extra to help them do that, I think that would be really well spent.
That'll be the discussion that you get to entertain when you start finalizing the division of that money. So.
Well, public safety in general, really. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, because I can just add the numbers up in my head, and we need about twice as much as what's going to be generated if we were to fulfill all this. So
right, that's right.
Somewhere somebody, going to get everything they need.
This is another budget exercise under a different name. I mean that's pretty much what it is. So, but it's still good. Some items, like I said, may be better addressed as capital improvement program, and again, more to follow, and I'll try to get it to you here. Like I said, the deadline, I think in some of the emails, you even saw the email I sent out. I had to give it till Friday of this week, and that's short, but I appreciate the response that we did have. So we'll keep pressing on that. Anything else on those? And we'll not worry. We'll focus on the language once we get the projects identified too.
Those are contingent on something else happening. That's, you have to think about, well, if they couldn't use that and I've allocated that money there, are there other pressing needs there? Is that still the best place for that money? So, keep both the specifics and the need for flexibility in mind as you evaluate proposals.
And we'll lean on Commissioner Goster pretty heavily too. Yeah. Very well. On to roads update. I just wanted to point out that we had one road that was affected pretty well. We had several. Duncan Swindle. We have decided to go back with a a box culvert to address that, way too much water. And, that work will begin. We've had basement studies, we've done all the preliminary on it, but it's, parts ordered, and it'll probably be, 1st of June. Everything should start on that. And you're looking somewhere in the neighborhood, once everything's done, probably $45,000 to $50,000 on that. So this is exactly why it's important to always keep that, you know, we have to keep an eye on the money that we have in our road department as well. So, and
Mr. Chairman, just a question on that. Are they gonna, another cat in place box, or are they ordering a?
they crane it, they bring everything.
Pre-pack.
Right, pre-pack.
Chairman, I was gonna say that, on East Commerce Road, they got, reflectors on the road.
Yes.
First time in a long time.
Yeah.
And I've got some compliments on that. And I've also, people have not called as much about grass cutting on that road because we've sprayed the ditches.
We have started spraying that.
Yeah, and it's actually looks really good, and we haven't had a mower up and down that road yet. So hopefully that might be another cost-effective, time-effective way.
It buys us a lot more time than cutting does. I mean, that's, if you can live with brown, if you hang around till July, we'll be brown anyhow. Yeah, so, but, back to the reflectors, we've got several roads that we've started doing that with, and it's a little bit longer lasting, longer term safety, measure. We hope to hear back on an off-system safety grant, which I believe I'm getting positive feedback on that. There's $300,000 or $400,000 there that, will go towards those types of projects, striping and the reflectors and things like that.
Chairman, what about there was also some money maybe we could use for the intersections, a couple of dangerous intersections in the county. Was that a possible?
We're trying, and we're also working with May courts in Athens. Maybe in 20, it'll be 20-something. But we actually are trying those same intersections. HB Chandler is one of them, believe it or not, and they start to increase traffic there. Being parallel to a rail makes that kind of important when you're trying to come up 72 with 80 semis a day, with any kind of rail traffic or whatever. That's going to complicate that. Garnet Ward, Piedmont, they crossed 29 there. That was something. And then Moons Grove at 29. Is another area that we're trying. So I remember the 106 and East Commerce. So we'll continue looking at those.
Other limb doing, is it back on the road? I think there was some issues with that.
All right, statements and remarks from citizens. We'll entertain another round here if anybody has anything they'd like to share with us. Anybody?
I guess I'll be first.
Come on up.
I'm familiar to a lot of you all, but my name is Sylvia Lowe, and I reside at 11449 Wildcat Bridge Road. Recently, I have had an issue with trash on my road. I don't know what the protocol is for trash pickup, but several weeks ago, I had an issue with trash not being picked up. And so it didn't take me long. I know I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but it didn't take me long to figure out why the trash wasn't being picked up. But it's strewn up and down the road. So I called the county. The county said that's not a county road. The state DOT will have to take care of that. So I called the county the state DOT. Just a few minutes or a few hours, the DOT was there and picked up the trash. So about 4 or 5 weeks ago, had the same issue again. You come out my driveway, and there sits this trash can, and it's bubbling over with trash bags. The old laundry hamper full of trash. I'm just an eyesore. And I know I'm the only one probably that sees it, but hey, when I looked it up, Georgia and the federal law has a litter law. And I think our county needs to do a better job on this. I'm sorry. But when I cut my grass, it's all the beer bottles and beer cans and cigarette packs and stuff. I remember in the 5th grade, the Georgia State Patrol came to our school, and they passed out candy bar wrappers, chewing gum wrappers, Coke cans, and wadded up notebook paper. They said, look at this cafeteria right here. So a nice thing. Then they made us all, or asked us all to just go and throw our material down that they had given us. You should have seen the mess afterwards. So it was on the road for 2 weeks. I left to go out of town for a week. I came back, the same trash and trash cans and the laundry basket, all sitting at the same place. I said, can you believe it? So I called the DOT and left a message. It was on a Sunday night. I said, surely they'll have an emergency number. Of course, it wasn't an emergency. There's no natural disaster in a can of trash sitting on the road. But anyway, I called them and left a message. And so the next day, about lunchtime, I called again. And I have all this documented and what time and all this. But in lieu of time, I'm not going to go over that. But my name is Sylvia Lowe, but I say now it's probably mud after I talked to several people week before last. And after this meeting, it'll probably be worse and not start with an M. So anyway, my point is that I called the county, and I called, and this phone book's not right, y'all, either. So, and it's a comedy of errors. As a matter of fact, literally one time I thought I was calling the suicide hotline and was being put on hold. So for 4 days, the DOT told me, you call the commissioner's office. So I said, well, sheriff's office. I said, well, I called my commissioner, and I said, didn't get any response. And she said, we'll call the commissioner's office. So I said, okay. So I did. And sweet, all these little employees, they're so sweet, and they tell you all this, but they're having a hard finding out who's on first. So I asked them, you know, what I should do, and they said, it's, you need to call the sheriff's office, because this is the sheriff's issue of code enforcement. So I called the code. I said, would you give me the number? She said, yes. So I called them. I left a message for the code enforcement. Didn't hear from them, so I called. She said, now, if you don't hear from them, you call the sheriff's office, because they oversee that. Well, they identified themselves as who they were and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, they, after I called the sheriff's office and talked to the chief deputy, he said, the code officer called me and just a little, he'd be real out right away and take care of it. Well, I never saw anybody. So I said, I gave him another half day or so, and I said, did I misunderstand? And I have a load of mulch in my truck. Otherwise, I'd just go up there and get me some gloves and take it off myself. So I still didn't hear from him. So on Thursday, this started on Sunday night, on Thursday, late in the afternoon, our trash man apparently picked up the trash can and left the laundry basket and all that. So by Friday, I had a company coming from 3 different counties. Oh no! So anyway, they finally got the trash up on Friday at some time and point. So my question is, and I'm not being ugly but it's frustrating. I'm telling you, as a taxpayer, I really want to know who's supposed to be, and like there's a Georgia and federal code of litter laws, it's 16-7-43. And so somebody needs to be in charge. And this being the second time, you know.
Ms. Lowe, what road are you on, 281?
281.
Okay. Do you know my number?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just asking, I'm not being mean, or
Uh-huh.
do you know my number?
Mhm.
You call my number next time.
Oh, okay.
I don't, it is a law enforcement issue. If there's code, I could enforce code if I wanted to, but it is a law enforcement. We do have inmate details that the, law enforcement, they run those crews. They are over, you're right, they're over code enforcement. But if it's on 281, it's county, it's a state road, though, remember that.
Yeah.
So, but I can call DOT and get out there if that's the case.
So, are there people living in the residence?
It's a rental property and it's the same one. So I wonder if there's a citation that was issued, because there would be some revenue, y'all. I'm sorry, you're looking for it? There it is. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll look at it, all right. That's all right. Okay, is there anybody else who'd like to make a statement or remark?
One or two folks here, I thought there'd be more people go getting up and making a statement.
There you go.
My name's John McDowell, 945 Lake Deerfield Road. Take him up on his offer, present details to him, and then follow up a month from now at your next business meeting, and perhaps look for a little bit more time to have an open discussion on these things. But the three things were roads, water, and air quality. I will touch on one of those three things, roads, because that was on the agenda tonight. Lake Deerfield Road runs perpendicular into Chandler Farm Road, which is an asphalted road. It's a covered road. When you reach the end of our road, you can turn left on that road, and 2/10 of a mile down, you run into a repair job. It's probably been there for 6 to 9 months, maybe as long as a year. That repair job took out the asphalt, put in a lot of rock, undercover, built up the infrastructure, and left it as gravel road. You can get to the end of our road and turn right. In 3/10 of a mile, you have the same thing. So you have another section that's about 20 to 25 yards wide, where the asphalt was removed and where repair jobs have been put on the road. So my question to the commission and commissioners as a whole is, if that's supposed to be permanent fixes, you take asphalt, you take the road that's got asphalt on it, you turn it in, you make your repairs, and then you walk away for 6 to 9 months to a year. I mean, my complaint is I live on a dirt road and gravel road, and there's 14 or 15 residences on that road. 5 of them are on the lake. There used to be 6 of them on the lake. The lake's closing in on itself. But no matter whether I'm going home or I'm leaving, I'm leaving my road, and then I have to traverse left and right into 2 additional gravel dirt repair jobs that had been apparently abandoned.
Those 2 locations were their pipes replaced there?
They were. That's where they replaced the pipes.
Just as and I, like I said,
Underground pipes, you mean, for drainage?
Right,
Yes.
right, yeah. So they washed out, and those pipes were replaced, and as at least, and I can only speak for the last 2.5 years, I believe it was this way before too, but when they repair those and when they actually remove asphalt, they'll pack it, and they'll you're right, dirt and gravel. And what we have done is the contractor that we contract with to do our annual road projects, last year was Garrett, they come back in and we have these little projects, Paul Smith Road, I'm trying to think of 2 or 3 that washed out last year, in conjunction with the roads that were approved by the county to resurface. While they're in county, we have them come by. It's more efficient, more cost efficient to have them do that. There is, excuse me, there is a reason we want to pack those a little bit too, to allow the settling and do that. It's never intended to be a permanent fix. It's just when we have them back in the county, it's just more cost effective to have them, we tack those projects on and they go back in there and surface those. So they will get surfaced here.
Well, I appreciate that.
They will. I mean, I'm guaranteeing that.
Well, in the interim,
Right.
during the period of time
Right.
that they have not been repaired on a permanent manner, on a permanent basis, they have been re-gravelled at least 3 times. So the county is in a couple of days.
I've been over there and checked on it. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I look forward to meeting, seeing.
One other comment, and I'll close. Last time that the county considered the splotch tax, I think you made reference to, Mr. Chairman, that there were other counties involved, and it took it a certain number out of the 9 or 12 counties, so they, that needed to vote positively for it to gain, passage. And I think it was a very, very wise comment made during those discussions, and that was that there's a lot of Madison County taxpayer money that's spent in Clark County. And Clark County is one of the ones that wanted to, forget Madison County. We're going to stick with it because we're making tons of money, some of which is on sales tax from Madison County, pockets. Okay. Clark County also is a huge beneficiary of the Hope Scholarship because of the college there. Well, the Hope Scholarship, I don't know when it was created or when it was passed in the state of Georgia, but that was the basis behind which the state of Georgia accepted lottery. And it started off with a lottery, a one-state lottery. Okay? So the revenue were dictated, but were directed towards Hope Scholarships. And every year, we've made $2 billion worth. So every year, the scholarship fund, Hope Scholarship, goes up throughout the state of Georgia. Well, we now have in every convenience store, in every grocery store, in every gas station in Madison County, they sell probably 4 or 5 ticketed lotteries and probably 30 scratch-off lotteries, none of which are taxed. Not 1 penny of tax, sales tax, is applied to lottery sales. So, that's one of the things that I was going to mention to the senator, and will when I follow up on.
Right, I'm glad he came back in.
Oh, did he?
Just to.
Oh, there you go.
You got great time.
There you go, okay? And that would be, why? What protects this cash cow of a lottery in the state of Georgia where counties get, like Madison County, gets little to no benefit? Now, we may get some from the school funds.
Right.
Local school funds, there might be a distribution there, but I know as a taxpayer and a senior citizen that we also have to pay school tax in Madison County, where 3 counties in the state of Georgia don't have to do that. As a senior citizen, I don't know whether it's a state decision or a county decision, but senior citizens, you pay. You don't get waived. That's not an option. So 75% of my property tax goes to school tax. So it upsets me a little bit when I go in to get gas. I'll take 3 number 10s and 4 number, and every single one of you has seen it. Sure, that'll be fine. Oh, you want one of the $25? It wouldn't surprise me if they make 10 times more revenue on these scratch-off jobs than they do on the regular lottery.
Just know too.
Tax them.
We got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, tax them.
No, that's
And
right.
then collect your splotch from it.
Got 110 sales tax exemptions in the state as well. So that's another.
Thanks for your time.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Tom. All right. There, anybody else like to offer anything?
Come up there. This will just be quick. I could do it from back there.
Oh, no, you have to come up front.
No, wonderful. I'm Diane Satterfield, 2155 Arnold Park Drive, Comer. I was just going to ask if there's any way that you could maybe put some of your, you had for
The SPOS requests aren't, because I don't know when I receive those. Sometimes they happen standing right where you're standing, so those may not. But if we have any of those, you'll at some point that will be a document that we'll make.
Will those that you have be listed on there after tonight?
Probably not. I'm just being honest with you, these were, submissions, I probably could, but some of them are pretty lengthy, and I'd share any of them with you, though, if you want to, it's just, I don't know.
Just so
I don't do
so we're not in
websites,
the
so I'm
dark.
not gonna promise something that I don't actually do myself, but I'd make it available to you if you want a copy of it, I certainly will.
Okay.
All right. Anything? Parting shots? All right. Executive session.
Yes, sir.
Just need a motion to adjourn. Second. I have motion second, Commissioner Bettis.
Yes.
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 Very good. We're done. Thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you.